Are you a business owner? What are some strategies to manage, create, and distribute your wealth? Well, here to talk with me about this is Rob Ziliak from Buckingham Strategic Wealth. Welcome, Rob.
Thank
How
you,
are you?
Bob. Yeah, thank you, Bob. Doing really well. Thank you.
Great. So you've written an article about strategies for business owners to manage, distribute wealth, create wealth. Eager to have you walk us through it.
Sure, happy to do that. And part of my history was being part of an advisory team that supported dentists as business owners. So we went very deep with dentists. The reality is these 10 strategies are applicable to many industries, though, and not every, with certainty that there are some industries that are very capital intensive and make it difficult to pursue the type of financial future that owners may want. In large part, though, what we're striving for is helping business owners to be intentional about managing their cash flow and think holistically about their business and their personal finances. And frequently, in my experience, I've found that business owners tend to dwell so much on their business finances that they sort of forget about the fact that the bottom line of their corporate tax return happens to be the top line of their personal return and will drive all of the spending and saving capabilities that they have, Bob. So these 10 strategies are very much constructed to be actionable. So they include pay yourself first, always know where your money should go, always know where your money does go, align your priorities with needs, wants, and savings, and having a very specific percentage target in each of those. Aligning loans with the debt payment ratio, that's the one that is new and probably most different from what business owners may hear. The sixth one is design the best retirement plan for your cash flow. Seventh is making peace with how much you can afford to spend. That's the lifestyle component. Take a comprehensive approach to investing. And then 9 and 10 are managing proper risk through insurance coverage and establishing an estate plan to ensure that your assets flow to the people and the entities that they should flow through at a time when you're no longer capable of making that decision.
So if you don't mind, could you do a deeper dive on aligning your loans with your debt payment ratio? What do people need to know about that?
Absolutely. What we found is many business owners, they tend to fall in extreme camps oftentimes. One camp is we should avoid debt at all costs. Debt is evil, and we should only advance our progress with cash flow. Another camp is debt is good, and we'll take out as many loans as we possibly can because leverage is going to be the key to our financial success down the road. What we strive for is somewhere in between there, and that in between is being really methodical around trying to stretch out the term of loans, and ideally with fixed interest rates that are as low as possible, in part thanks to longer duration, and also to obtain tax preferential treatment. In other words, deductible interest. And that applies in the business and in the personal loan strategy. And the very key aspect of that, Bob, is whatever the monthly savings is in cash flow, and depending on the revenue of the business, therefore the income of the owner, we could be talking about thousands of dollars per month of a difference between what a business owner might be paying towards loans now versus what they could be paying with some intentional debt restructure. And then taking that trade-off and directly taking that preferential savings and putting it into long-term savings vehicles, such as a custom designed retirement plan for their business.
So that's a good segue for me because I'm always eager to chat about retirement plans for small business owners and what might be best, whether it's a solo 401k or a defined benefit plan or a cash balance plan. How does someone go about deciding which is the best company retirement plan for them?
It's a really complex marketplace, right? And for small business owners through mid-sized business owners, because there are a variety of options. And So unfortunately, the answer starts with it depends. The worst two words that everybody doesn't want to hear, but it really does depend on the how many employees we're talking about. It depends on the stability of cash flow. It also depends on the mindset or the values of the owner. And specifically, what I mean by that, Bob, is some business owners will say, you know, this is my or our business, and we want to put a compensation plan in place to reward, retain, and attract employees. However, we're mostly using this as a savings vehicle for ourselves. But others may have a values mindset that really is focused much more on the attraction, retention, and rewarding of employees, even if it means they can't save as much. And so that decision tree has everything to do with whether or not something like a 401k plus a cash balance plan or some other type of defined benefit could get put into place, or if it varies down to something much simpler, such as a solo 401k or a simple IRA or a SEP IRA.
So of the 8 remaining strategies, are there any one or two in particular that you'd want to do a deeper dive on that we haven't touched upon?
You know, there are 3 I'll touch on quickly. One of them is the pay yourself first is number 1 for a reason. The sequence of the rest of them is actually a little bit less important, but that paying yourself first is really paramount because it goes back to the old adage that time is more valuable than anything else. So the sooner that a person starts saving money towards their long-term goals into a well-diversified portfolio, the better off that they'll likely be in the future. The other 2 that I want to touch on, because they tend to be less focused on, but they're critically important, is proper insurance and estate planning. And as a fee-only fiduciary, I don't sell insurance, so all we do is educate on it. And that laser fixation is on proper insurance in the business and on the personal side. And on the personal side of insurance coverage, long-term disability tends to be one that's rarely talked about, but has the is most likely to be needed in the course of a lifetime. The last one I'll touch on is estate planning, is that, you know, without having things like key person agreements in place, but a really well-written will and or trust document that spells out what should occur with the business and what should occur with personal affairs, and including if the business owner or owners are incapacitated, who can make decisions on their behalf, are critically important. And we know that only about 1/3 of Americans actually have proper estate documents in place. So that is hugely important.
So Rob, I want to thank you for chatting with us and sharing your knowledge and wisdom about this topic. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you so much, Bob. It's a pleasure.